Okay, well, we're midway through January 2021, and the madness of last year appears to be continuing in this year. Now, I wanted to talk about proportion as what we might call a spiritual self-defense against the worst excesses of the world that we are living in today. Now, cultures are based to a large degree on the idea of proportion, and I'll come back to that in a minute. Our society, however, is more and more based on the idea of disproportion. So when we get a drink of soda, it is supersized, or if we get a cup of coffee, it is grande. No one needs to drink that amount of soda or coffee. We have lotteries now which are dishing out prizes in the hundreds of millions, while student debt can be anywhere from 10,000 to over 100,000 by the time someone leaves, often with a qualification that is worthless. Medication, of course, is dished out like candy, and I think at least 50% of the American population is on prescription drugs at any one time. A very large number of Americans are also on antidepressants or other kinds of mental health related drugs. So why is culture so firmly rooted in proportion? Well, in law, of course, we expect the punishment to be proportionate to the crime. In regard to food, we know that we have to eat food, an amount of food that is proportionate to our exercise or to the amount of energy that we're putting out through the day, which leads us to another type of proportion in food today, which is much of our food has a disproportionate, increasingly disproportionate amount of chemicals and additives that aren't really food at all. And of course, we can now eat food with virtually no nutritional value whatsoever, hence the obesity and sickness. Of course, again, clothing is made proportional to the body, as is architecture. The roof is designed to be a couple of feet or a little more above our head. The door is made to fit around our body. Windows are designed for us to be able to see out whether we are standing or sitting. The building is designed around our body. It is proportionate to our body. And of course, sacred architecture isn't like that, it's bigger, introducing this idea of space and of vastness and of deity. So it is disproportionate to the human body, often designed on a much grander scale. Again, of course, East and West, you have the idea in education of training the body and the mind proportionate to each other. So not just one or the other, but both. So you might be taught calligraphy and martial arts, or you might be taught, say, wrestling and music. And so the idea is to have these proportionate to each other. Now, of course, disproportionate times can be exhilarating and exciting. In the US and in the West, we have extreme sports, extreme yoga, extreme parkour, extreme eating competitions, if you're into that kind of thing. Over the last 50 years, we've had punk. Come here. Over the last 50 years, we've had punk, goth, hip hop, all kinds of different music genres and fashions, at least up until the end of the 20th century, more or less. Before that, of course, we had all kinds of art movements: Dada, Cubism, Surrealism, Vorticism, Abstract Expressionism, and so on. So in these disproportionate worlds, there can be a great energy and a great exhilaration and excitement and a sense of discovering the new. But at a certain point, when the creativity dries up, instead of getting extreme sports and extreme fashion and extreme art, we get extreme politics, extreme ideologies. And everyone is locked into this way of thinking, which further the declines of society, because no one is interested in any kind of solution or creativity or doing anything productive or creative, but merely in critiquing and criticizing other people as a kind of substitute religion. So what can we do in this age of disproportion, which is also one that is becoming decreasingly creative, and as such seems to be drying up its energy and in a state of confusion and increasingly in a state of political violence. Now, I would say that we have to get proportion back in our own lives to be able to face whatever might be coming from either side. First and foremost, I would suggest that we, instead of looking at social media for hours on end, typing in the comments, arguing with people about some political position, you will never ever convince those people, because they are not posting those articles or those memes because they have considered them very rationally and have come to some conclusion and are open to suggestions and are open to different views. They are posting those articles or memes because they want to get likes, because it makes them feel moral, and because it makes them feel intelligent. So they are not going to change their mind, and you are not going to change them. It doesn't matter how wrong they are. They do not care. They know that much of what they post is distorted or is outright false, regardless of what side they are cheerleading for. Don't waste your time on social media arguing with these people. You have time that you can be better spending elsewhere. Instead, take that time and develop yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually. Read ancient texts or modern texts, maybe Robert Greene. You can read my books, that would be great. Maybe other people on spirituality. My cat is meowing, you may have noticed. Work out physically, take up a martial art or learn a self-defense, practice some kind of art or skill and become a master in that art or skill. And I would say also build some quiet time into your life. We're constantly bombarded by social media. We're constantly looking on our phones, unable to go 5 minutes by ourselves without looking at something because we feel embarrassed and we feel people might be looking at us in public. Instead of doing that, just relax and allow yourself to be quiet. When you constantly take in these data and information, you can't process it. The way we get good ideas and new ideas is by having this quiet time where we're not doing anything, where we're just relaxing. That's when new ideas come to us. Well, with that in mind, that's all for now. I'll be talking more on this kind of subject again, and I will see you again very soon. Thanks very much.